Alright, so we have Susie Lee behind me. Should I pull a Alex Stein and be like, Alex Stein 99, vote for April Becker? I'm low key. I'm about to do it. Like Susie Lee right there. And you know what? And all these people are down for her. These two are for her, but let's vote for April Becker. April Becker for District 3. You want to vote? Yo, Susie, you want to vote for April Becker? Yo, Susie, you want to vote for April Becker? April Becker, you want to?
Boomers.
And what do we say? Vote what?
Vote Republican.
There we go. Red wave, everyone. Red wave.
And ultimately, I'm glad, even there was a Democratic presence, even though I'm shouting red wave, vote Republican, that did not take away from the overall event, right? And so ultimately, we should come together despite our political values ahead of the midterm elections and all of that. We should be able to celebrate, especially during a Filipino American History Month, we should be able to celebrate our stories and our experiences and our journeys and being able to come together. Hey yo, what's up guys? So I'm coming to you another video. So pretty much I want to take a second look at the Filipino night market, which by the way, check out that video before you start this video. It was an amazing event, awesome event, so be sure to check out that video. But beyond the food, beyond the entertainment, I want to get in a deep dive, more in a political lens as far as why I asked the question, what is the official motto of the Philippines? Because ahead of the midterm elections this November 8th, go ahead and vote. I think our cultural values, our core values as Filipinos, as Filipino Americans should align with our political values. And you know, I think that is an important conversation to be made, to be had. So be sure to check out all this video. And with all that said, shall we begin? But first, of course, if you're new to my channel, what is up? My name is Mitch, Maverick Mitch. Hey Mitch, all the Mitches, the call sign Don, and pretty much I like talking about what I talk about. So, current events, reviews, pop culture, social political commentary, be sure to check out all those videos as you're finishing this video. And of course, please like, share, and subscribe as it feeds the algorithm. So with all of that said, roll it. Alright, so actually before we begin, because I'm going to get political, I do want to give some disclaimers and some credit where credit is due. So this Filipino night market was awesome, it was great, it was amazing, and I mean that truly sincerely, right? Because honestly, this Filipino event was more Filipino than the Filipino Festival back in May. Not to doubt that event, but you know, because there was One Down and Kumu, Senwave, PHLV Radio, CMC Boutique doing a fashion show, Mixed Global was there. This had a larger, and Interlude and Nevera was there. You know, this had a larger impact in the faces of Filipinos in the communities, right? And so, again, really awesome event. I think it did a really awesome job. So, I'm not gonna knock that down. So, yeah. Alright, next. Obviously, by the end of this video, I'm gonna say vote Republican, vote red, red wave 2022, red wave, Las Vegas. But ultimately, this event, behind the scenes, was political. Yet, it was pretty much Democrat. There were so many Democrats there.
And y'all, not only did our Vegas kababayan really come through, but also in attendance was Nevada State Governor Steve Sisolak. We had Congresswoman Dina Titus, Representative Susie Lee.
Like, you had Democrat politicians, Governor Sisolak there, you had Susie Lee there, obviously, right, and other Democrat politicians. So by default, this was a Democrat event. However, before we actually even get to that, right, because there's a pivot point which I want to get into as far as, you know, when it comes to the Fil-Am community, when it comes to all of this, we have different strategies and different ways and motivations and values in which we get to our end goal. So that's the crux of the video is there, right? I want our values to be aligned with our political values, right? Our Fil-Am values to be aligned with our political values. But we just have different venues and journeys to get there, right? But even before all of that, I want to get into a kind of like an origin story as far as how this whole Filipino night market even began, and go into the creators with like Walbert Castillo and Cheryl Darrow, because they're amazing. I talked to Walbert multiple times, and super great, awesome guy. Cheryl met her one time, but even that one interaction, I can see, and in this interview, I can see that they have the heart for the community. So I'm never gonna knock that down. They have the heart of the Fil-Am community just as much as the patriarch, the godmother. Josie Harrison has the heart for the community. So again, I'm never gonna knock that down, right? And obviously, also One Down was there, and it was super hilarious because they even know who I was, and I even said to them, like, you know, we differ politically, right? We have different avenues and perspectives as the Filipino communities and our journeys, but ultimately we are here for the Filipino community, and we are here to have these conversations and these voices. And I really hope that they took that seriously. Like, you know, I honestly like what they do. I just have a different perspective, and I just have a different critique as far as what they do and what they say, right? But ultimately, having that conversation is really important. So with that said, let's get a look into PHLV Radio, Fil-Am Focus, where the interview with Walbert and Cheryl was there, and take a look into the history, the historia, the origins of this Filipino night market, and again, go into that pivot point as far as why I asked the question I did, like, what's the official motto of the Philippines? So, let's check it out.
Let me ask you, what is your inspiration, Walbert, for the space and time?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And first and foremost, thank you again, Ate, for having us on your show. It's a great privilege, and it's exciting to be here. So with Space and Time, a Filipino night market, the inspiration really came about. Actually, it's so funny. I was inspired to create Historia. Like you said earlier, it's a Filipino pop-up restaurant that I'm planning to showcase and launch here in Vegas, that will focus on foods and drinks, the culinary sort of inspired by pre-colonial Philippines and beyond. And so obviously the Philippines has been through a lot. It's the same reason why a lot of Filipinos have Spanish last names, or why we have lumpia Shanghai on the table.
Yes.
We have Chinese influences, Spanish influences, American influence, like banana ketchup.
Yes.
But with the idea of Historia, it really came about after my experience this past summer in the Philippines. And so after traveling with some friends, including Dan Santos from Sendwave, he had connected me to folks in the Filipino community in Vegas. And I was inspired by wanting to take this here, this endeavor. But it really, this idea of the night market didn't really happen until I met Cheryl Darrow here. Cheryl and I connected over coffee. We had such a great conversation. I'd love her to touch more on that shortly. But yeah, after her and I connected, we figured, you know, since she was already putting on an event for Filipino American History Month this October, why not do something with a food focus? So that's where Historia comes in.
Alright, so getting into that, the origin story of the Filipino night market, we got Walbert Castillo talking about pretty much Historia, right? His journey from the Philippines, journey to the Philippines, like a visit there, and then going into all this. Awesome! No issues. Everything about this is great. I love that we're talking about our stories. I love that we're talking about our journeys and our experiences and how that reflects, and especially towards and his focus about food. Obviously, my focus is on like dance and a lot big portion with religion. So already we have a good like central focus, right? So yeah.
I see. And let's bring in Cheryl to discuss more about what also like motivated you to support Walbert's like planning of this event.
My goodness. Well, first of all, the energy is amazing. He is young and energetic and also passionate about the same things as I am, which is really telling the stories of our past, our history, knowing where we come from. And the second he said Historia and explained to me what it was, I was like, yes. I almost didn't need to hear the rest of that line. But really what we are doing, or what I've been doing with my event with Marahuyo, and then last year with the Independence Day Festival, is very similar and the same with him, is just kind of bringing our community together, identifying us as a culture and as a group of people, but also celebrating who we are as Filipinos, and doing that through the arts. and doing that through entertainment and showcasing, our cultural side of dancing and our cultural music, and then also what's next. That's really important to me. So really hearing him talk about what he wants to do really kind of meshed really well. So it was very easy for me to say yes to support this collaboration for Space and Time.
So again, we got Cheryl talking about her perspective as far as setting up these events and pretty much going on board with WRLD as far as making Historia and again bringing the Filipino community together with events and awesome. So yeah, really again, no problem there, right? And so again, I think these are great endeavors, and especially how we celebrate our Filipino culture and everything. So again, really awesome. So, point being here, it's about the community, right? And so I think when I get into this in this whole video, even though there was like this is the where it gets political, right? Even though there was a lot of Democrats there, right? Even though there was Republicans there too, it's ultimately it's about the community, right? Ultimately, we should come together despite our political values ahead of the midterm elections and all of that. We should be able to celebrate, especially during a Filipino American History Month, we should be able to celebrate our stories and our experiences and our journeys and being able to come together. And ultimately, I'm glad even there was a Democratic presence, even though I'm shouting red wave, vote Republican, that did not take away from the overall event, right? And so I think that is very important. So yeah, this is so now the pivot, right? So one clip I'm gonna share is the one I have with Michaela. She's actually one of the people helping out with one of the campaigns here. And so I'll throw that in real quick and then talk a little bit more after.
Hey, what's up you guys? So we're here at the Filipino Night Market. I'm here with
Michaela Dakanai.
Awesome. So why are you here representing and why are you here celebrating the first Filipino Night Market?
So actually I went ahead and modeled for CNC Boutique. It was amazing, it was fabulous, and of course, I'm Filipina, I have to have some Pinay pride here.
Awesome, awesome. And obviously we have a lot of friends from CMC Boutique, and so talking about our culture, it's Filipino American History Month. Trivia question that I'm asking everyone here is, do you know the official motto of the Philippines?
No, I do not.
Well, I'm gonna butcher this in Tagalog again. So it's Makadiyos, Makatayo, Makakikalakasan, at Makabansa, which means for God, for people, for nature, for country. So essentially it's God, family, country. What do you think about those values?
Amen to that. I am for that 100%. I truly believe we need leaders who are God-fearing, who honors him in the positions that they are standing in. We do need God's wisdom to guide us, so I'm all for that.
I'm going to throw also a curveball. Which side of the political aisle do you feel represents God, family, country the most?
I would say the Republican Party.
Amen to that. It's a Republican, right? And so, with Tita Josie, right? And so, awesome. I think that 100% my audience understands that. So, that is something that does resonate to Filipinos, because when you come down to it, Filipinos are intrinsically conservative, with God definitely part of our lives, family, and country. So, awesome. Any last shout outs you want to give out?
Yes, you guys go ahead and follow me at Michaela Dakanai on Facebook, and then Michaela on Instagram is MAIEKAYLA. And please go vote for Mitchell Tracy for Clark County Treasurer's Office.
Amen to that. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Punch it. Alright, so getting into the crux of this video, the reason why I'm doing this whole video, of course, politics, right? And so, I did the disclaimers in the beginning that this was an amazing event in which it was talking about the background, the origins of the Filipino Night Market and Historia with WRLD and Cheryl, awesome again. Talking about community, awesome again. And now getting into the actual crux. Why did I ask the question, what is the official motto of the Philippines? Back in May, I asked what are the Filipino values, what are Filipino values? People said family, community, all this stuff, right? And so good. Now I focus down on talking about the official motto of the Philippines, which is, again, I'm gonna butcher this, but we're gonna do it. So, Makadiyos, Makatayo, Makakilakasan, at Makabansa. For God, for people, for nature, for country, right? And so, again, the official motto of the U.S. is "In God We Trust," which I also agree with. Before that, it was "E pluribus unum," which is out of many one, and then during Marcos' time frame, it was Isa Bansa, Insa Diwa, so one country, one spirit. So, but ultimately, the reason why I'm getting into it is because obviously my core values is God, family, country. And I think that reflects to a lot of Filipinos who are inherently conservative, right? And so, when we talk about the Maka Diyos, Maka Tayo, Maka Kilakasan, at Maka Bansa, you know, a lot of these other people, when I did the interview, one did not know that. Right? It's a trivia question. Maybe they don't know a lot about Filipino history. Maybe they know about the flag and all that stuff, which is cool. And it also kind of goes into a disclaimer. Like, I actually studied Asian American Studies, got a degree in it, and I studied Babayan script. I did the Filipino dancing, so I have a bigger, larger background. So this identity crisis that a lot of people talk about, especially Filipino Americans, I don't really necessarily understand or relate to that. But the point being, a lot of people didn't know that that was the official motto of the Philippines. Obviously, people gave the answers, and they were surprised. Like, that speaks to who we are. That speaks about us stuff. One thing that I also noticed is that they don't really, the people who I would imagine is the more Democrats, the more liberal, the more progressive, they kind of leave out the God portion. And I'm like, there is a correlation as far as which side is more God-fearing. Again, I'm not saying that you have to be, there's atheists who are conservative, right? You don't have to necessarily be a Christian to be on the right, to be a Christian to be right-wing conservative. Like, you have Muslim leaning conservatives, right? Within their stuff, right? And so, but the point is, right, and I'm doing this very kind of poorly, but having fun with it, is ultimately it is the model of the Philippines reflects our core values, which is God, family, country. You know, a lot of us, again, a lot of the Philippines is Catholic. If majority is Catholic, and then Christian denominations, right? And again, I can't harp on the people who are culturally Catholic, but like, if you are invested in your faith, and which side of the aisle is more Christian, and so which side reflects God, which side reflects family, right? Which side is actively destroying the nuclear family, right? Which side is actively taking the fathers away from the home? Which side is saying, like, again, that teachers have authority over your children? Like, which side is trying to actively throw in CRT, gender CRT, gender critical theory, gender ideologies into this, just essentially disrupting your kids, and of course groomers, right? And I'm not saying when it comes to CRT, I'm not saying you can't teach history, right? We're not saying that, but when you say things like even X Kendi saying things like we have to fight racism with more racism. We have to fight discrimination with more discrimination, right? The fact that you, by your skin alone, that you are oppressed, right? And it's this Marxist ideology of oppressor and oppressed, right? And so which side is actively doing that? Which side is actively trying to destroy America? You can say that the perspective of the left is like MAGA is so extreme that they want to take over America, but which side is burning flags? Like, which side is burning flags, kneeling for the flag? Which side does not want to say the U.S. Anthem, let alone the Pledge of Allegiance, you know? Which side is God, family, country, right? And so when I keep on going down to it, like, it is the right, you know? It is the Republicans, it is the right-leaning conservative side that is, like, really embracing that, right? Again, when it comes to Filipinos, when it comes to our values, Maka Dios, like I said, we favor God. I'm not saying if you have to be Christian, but you have to understand at least the USA is based upon Judeo-Christian values, right? But even more so, by being Filipino, being Christian is a large portion of our lives, right? And I'm gonna, like, yes, I'm very much Catholic, and I'm gonna definitely say follow the way, the life, and truth. But when you have these priorities, and it kind of goes back to another cultural value of utang na loob, right? A debt of gratitude. Have a debt of gratitude to God. Be thankful for God. Put God first, right? And then you can have your guidance and grace and discern with that, right? And so you have to have priority, right? So makatayo, right? And so for our people, right? So again, the left is good with doing that. Like, they want for the best for the people, but when it comes down to it, like, they think you want the government to force like free speech. They want to regulate speech. They want to do these lockdowns because they know they think that the government knows better than you. No, no, no. Like, I do not put God. I do not put government before God. I put God before government. Like, when we talk about things like, oh, the left, when they talk about like, I want free education, I want free healthcare, I want free this, you know, well, one, you know what other things that has like free boarding, free housing, free food is a prison, right? And so, but we're not gonna get there, but ultimately, they want the government to provide versus I want God to provide, you know, I want God, like they say, I want, like, government, give me free education. I'm saying, Lord, give me the wisdom. Give me the wisdom that you sent for your prophets. Give me the discernment. Give me your guidance. Lord, Holy Spirit, be with me, you know? And I'm centering it around God before we put it before government, because ultimately, when you don't do that, government becomes your God. And like, no. So maka kilakasan, right? For nature, right? So when we talk about this, the left says like the right doesn't care about nature and climate change and all stuff. We do. We actually care so much that we want nuclear energy, and it's not the left that does it. You like, do you know how much more material that goes into wind turbines and all these other quote unquote save energy? And of course, it is like you're gonna need still natural coal and energy to supplement, because the output that you're getting from solar and wind energy and even hydroelectric is not enough to sustain what is America. And lastly, we got Makabansa, right? For country. Like, imagine, like, which side of the aisle put $40 billion to Ukraine, you know? Like, AOC's own critics are saying it. Her own district and constituents are now critiquing her, saying, you sent $40 billion to Ukraine. I'm not saying we can't support them, but $40 billion amid our economy?
Congresswoman, none of this matters unless there's a nuclear war, which you voted to send arms and weapons to Ukraine. Tulsi Gabbard, she's left the Democratic Party because they're a bunch of war hawks. Okay? You originally voted, you ran as an outsider, yet you've been voting to start this war in Ukraine. You're voting to start a thermonuclear war with Russia and China. Why are you playing with the lives of American citizens? You're playing with our lives.
There will be no neighbors if there's a nuclear bomb. You voted to mobilize and send money to Ukrainian Nazis. You're a coward. You're a progressive socialist. Where are you against the war mobilization? He's telling the right truth. You have done nothing. Tulsi Gabbard has shown guts where you've shown cowardice. I believed in you, and you became the very thing you sought to fight against. That's what you've become. You are the establishment, and you are the reason why everybody will end up in a nuclear war unless you choose to stand up right now and denounce the Democratic Party. Will you do that?
Amid our inflation? Yeah, no. Like, $40 billion could go to the American people, right? Again, I'm not saying we can't support other people, but like, at what point do we prioritize other nations before our own, you know? And so, which side is for the country? Like, which side is actually, like I said, which side is burning flags? Which side is not wanting to have the national anthem? It is the left, right? And so, which side, like, if war were to break out, if World War III was going to break out, which side of the aisle do you think was actually going to fight for the country? The people that hate this country, or the people that actually believe in this country, right? And so, so this is why I'm so passionate as far as this video. It's because I want to get people to start thinking about the motto of the Philippines, the values of the Philippines, and how that translates to us. Like, obviously it's one for one. I mean, even if nature and country is still together in the same, like, I want to take care of our place. Like, which side of the aisle has, like, it is San Francisco that is riddled with needles and drugs and poop, right? Like, it's these policies that are going against the American people, right? Like, we want secure borders, and that does not mean we want no immigrants at all. We just want legal immigrants, right? A lot of us came here the right way. We crossed an ocean and did it the right way, you know? And so that's what I'm driving at. Like, when we talk about these values of the Philippines, the official motto of the Philippines, align that to how your own political values, which side of the aisle reflects this, you know? And right now, it is the left that is talking about Jan 6, which is a lot of it is debunked. Have you not seen Nancy Pelosi saying, I've been waiting for this with her daughter's camera crew? Like, you hold off the National Guard because so that you can have a spectacle of this and so that you can use it politicalize what we're doing right now. Alright, so wrapping it up, yes, I went a whole tirade, a whole rant, rather than talking actual points. I'm just pulling up on the fly, but ultimately, I would like to think that people can see what I'm trying to get at as far as taking our values from the Philippines and applying it to us today. And so, again, my core values is God, family, country, and I think it reflects especially the conservatives and who we are as Filipinos. I always advocate that we are fully Filipino and fully American, and those things are not mutually exclusive, that they're one and the same. And I think if we go into that, we can not only we can embrace our Filipino-ness in our Americanness, right? And so again, it doesn't have to be separate, and I truly believe it's the Republican Party at this moment. You can criticize them later, but at least with like our local candidates, they are here for our American people. And again, for the left, for the Democrats, that I sure that they think the same way, but ultimately you have to look at also the policies and all this stuff and see where they lie. And I think for me, obviously, I'm gonna keep on advocating for a conservative voice, like I said, with God, family, country, and with the Republicans. So, with Republicans, right? And so, with that said, thank you for watching. Vote this November 8th. Vote conservative. Red Wave, Red Wave, Red Wave, Las Vegas, Red Wave 2022. Adam Laxalt, April Becker, Sam Peters, with a lot of great candidates, Maradi Parladay, Daniel Piper Chio, a bunch of other candidates. And so let's do this. Let's have a great time this November 8th, and let's have this red wave. So with that said, you can follow me on my Instagram at Hey Mitch Mitch. You can follow me on my Twitter, Maverick Mitch, and see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Hit that like, share, and subscribe, and see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Peace, peace, peace. Be with you. E como espiritu tuo.